Economies of scale, diseconomies of scale, and constant returns to scale. Before considering economies of scale, diseconomies of scale, and constant returns to scale, we have to bear in mind that economists take into consideration the differences between the short run and the long run. In the short run, at least one resource is fixed, meaning usually the planned capacity, such as the size of the factory or building, amount of machinery and equipment, and other capital resources. Short run is a period too brief for a firm to modify its planned capacity. However, it is long enough to allow some changes in the amount to which the planned current capacity is used. In the long run, this planned capacity is no longer fixed. The long run is a period long enough for a firm to adjust the quantities of all the resources it employs, including the planned capacity. However, short run and long run are only conceptual time periods. Furthermore, economies, diseconomies, and constant returns to scale are encountered in the long-run production and are analyzed through the average total cost curve. The long-run average total cost curve shows the lowest average total cost at which any output level can be produced after the firm has had time to make all the appropriate adjustments in its planned size. It is made up out of segments of the short-run cost curves. However, in many industries, the number of possible plant sizes is virtually unlimited. Graphically, this implies an unlimited number of short-run average total cost curve, one for each output level. Seen from the graphs, the average total cost curve is U-shaped. We will further on see that the shape of the curve in the long run is caused by economies and diseconomies of large-scale production. Economies of scale arise when the cost per unit falls as output increases due to the effectiveness gained in the production process. As the plant size increases, a number of factors will for a time lead to lower average cost of production. Some of them are labor specialization. Labor specialization is known by economists as the division of labor. It refers to the practice of splitting a job into discrete tasks and assigning each task to a specific worker. It eliminates the loss of time that occurs whenever the worker shifts from one task to another. Thus, hiring more workers means that jobs are divided between them and they become more proficient at those tasks. Managerial specialization. Large-scale production also means better use of and greater specialization in management. A supervisor who can handle 30 workers is underused in a small plant that employs only 20 people. The production staff could be doubled with no increase in supervisory costs. Efficient capital could be referred as the relationship between how many expenses are required by the company to how much money is used to manufacture a good or service. For example, a small bread producer may use traditional baking methods which have lower total cost, and on the other hand, we have a producer which uses modern high-tech machinery and he faces higher total costs. However, the average cost of producing is much lower, and this again portrays the concept of economies of scale. In short, we have economies of scale when a 10% increase in resources equals a more than 10% increase in output. We can take this example. A computer manufacturer producing 1,000 computers at $250 each could expand to produce 2,000 computers at $200 each. The manufacturer's total production costs have risen from $250,000 to $400,000, but the cost of each computer has fallen from $250 to $200. If the manufacturer sells the computers for $350 each, the profit margin per computer rises from $100 to $150, showing economies of scale. Constant returns to scale is the proportionate increase in output resulting from the proportionate increase in all inputs. This means a 10% increase in resources equals an exact 10% increase in output. Diseconomies of scales are encountered when doubling our input results in a less than proportionate increase in output. This means a 10% increase in resources equals to less than 10% increase in output. This can be due to the lack of efficient controlling. If one manager was enough to control the small plant, this manager will not be able to fulfill all the obligation a large plant requires. More workers will be needed, and this leads to higher costs, and the firm eventually encounters diseconomies of scale. All things considered, the long-run average total cost curve will look as the following.
Created using Powtoon.